right.
All
What a
right.
happy day. Hello and welcome to Live with us, our Reformers panel. I think this is the biggest live we've ever had. This is more people than we've ever had because we have Chris Q, Adam, we have Michelle, we have Milena, we have Susan, we have me, Casey, and we have the other Chris. Oh my gosh, everybody's here. So it's been a bumpy decade, week. And we're going to talk about what has happened. We're going to start, obviously, with what I think most of us feel demands the most attention, which is this little boy, Liam, who is in a detention center right now, and he's ill. And we all saw the picture that came out when Representative Joaquin Castro went to visit Liam and his father in the detention center and immediately saw the pallor of his skin color. And I don't know if you have to be a parent, but I can tell you as a mom, I saw his skin color and I just was praying that it was bad lighting. I was just hoping to God it was the lighting, because the second you saw his skin color, you knew he was not well. And I have a child the same age. And if she's napping across my lap like that in the middle of the day, I'm really concerned. I'm genuinely really worried about her welfare because she's probably very ill. And so that was what was reported by his mother, that he's had fever and vomiting and he's just not eating because the conditions there are so deplorable and the food is not fit for children or anyone to eat. And so I'm going to turn it over to, I think Milena wanted to talk about this in particular. Or
why don't we watch a short video first?
Do the video first.
So it actually discusses the visit and what's going on. So there's a little more to.
Texas's congressional delegation, along with Texas state representatives, visited the Dilley detention facility near San Antonio. That is where 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos and his father have been held since last week, when ICE detained them in Minneapolis. This now infamous photo of Liam in ICE custody is harrowing. And it's a turning point in how Americans viewed the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. After the visit, Congressman Joaquin Castro shared this image of Liam in his father's arms and described the state that he's in.
You can see from the picture that I posted that he was lying in his father's arms. His father said that Liam has been very depressed since he's been at Dilley, that he hasn't been eating well. I was concerned with, you see how he appears in that photo with his energy. He seemed lethargic. His father said that Liam has been sleeping a lot.
There was a growing group of protesters, Simone, here outside the facility. These protesters came from cities across the state of Texas, some of them driving 4 or 5 hours to get here. And if you look at the video, you'll see that within the sea of people, some of them are wearing blue beanies or blue caps. That was in honor of Liam Ramos. I talked to multiple, many of them getting emotional, talking about why they felt compelled to be here to stand up for Liam and for the other families. I gotta say, one of the things that stood out to me from the press conference, Congressman Joaquin Castro did out of San Antonio, he said that what he found inside were that some of these families, some of these children were mentally broken. And Simone, I gotta tell you, I've spoken to multiple attorneys who speak to children and to families in this facility. And that's what I keep on hearing over and over again, that these children are mentally broken because of the time that they spend here. I actually talked to one attorney who goes into these facilities regularly because she is part of the team that offers oversight for compliance under the Florida settlement, which is the 1997 agreement that determines the how the federal government is supposed to treat children in detention. And she said that 90 families have been detained for more than 50 days and 20 children for over 100 days. And so when she says that mothers would tell her that as children spend more and more time at these facilities, that they can see it in their face, they have nightmares, they cry at night, and they don't want to eat, so they lose weight.
So I think the thing that jumped out at me was mentally broken. A lot of these children are going to have, this is trauma, and they're going to carry that with them for a lifetime. Milena, you wanted to chat about basically what the law is, with these children. And you heard what she said about the time as far as how long these kids are being
There are
detained.
some children in there that have been there for over 8 months. 8 months in jail-like facilities where they're sleeping on thin mattresses on the floor. They have Mylar blankets that are like paper-thin blankets. There are strict rules about touching in these facilities. So they're not allowed to get hugs. Oftentimes the children aren't allowed to hug their siblings, things like that. They're not provided enough access to hygiene. That if you saw the picture, Joaquin Castro was able to smuggle in a camera and videotape the adult facility, and he showed a picture of the shower, and it's something that most people would never want to get into. The children are being yelled at. There are cases of SA. It is horrific. And the Flores settlement was established to prevent something like this. And it says that you're not supposed to hold children more than 20 days. They're supposed to be in the very least restrictive type of detention possible. And one of the things that has been reported is that some of these children have been taken to a hotel for a night. So then they could come back and the 20 days starts over. And in some cases, they're not even doing that. But they're being taken to a hotel with some randos. Like, can you imagine if some stranger took your kid to no, there's absolutely no oversight for this. They have stripped the oversight from these facilities, and it's just terrifying. It's terrifying. The water is unpalatable. They're having to mix this water with baby formula. So babies are getting stale water. There's a child as young as 2 months old, a little infant, a baby in this facility. How could we let this happen as Americans?
So there's been talk about that mothers are having to use dirty water for formula. The food is in terrible conditions for the kids. And imagine like what we're hearing about Liam, and this is why we're focusing on him, because he's brought so much attention to this cause. He was a preschooler, a happy preschooler, and now he is alone. He doesn't have friends. I mean, if you're a parent, you know your kids at that age need playtime and they need to run around and they need to, and he is not able to do that. I do think we should take a listen to Jasmine Crockett, what she has to say, because this is awesome. She's actually questioning his health a little bit deeper than just a visual.
You meeting young Liam, can you tell us about how he's doing and what that experience was like today?
It's almost indescribable, which I don't think that anyone ever imagines that I'm at a loss for words. Mm-hmm. He attempted to kind of interact with him. Like I was like trying to touch him, he was so lethargic. He was never alert the entire time that we were there. I was very, very concerned about his health. His father indicated that he was not eating, that they had determined that he was depressed. They being those that are there at the facility, they do have some psychiatrists on hand, and that he just kept asking about his mom and when they were going to see his mom and when he was going to go to school. But the entire time that we were there, and we visited specifically with Liam for probably about 30 minutes talking to his dad, and he never moved. He was motionless.
He was awake, but motionless?
I don't know that he was awake. Like if you look at those photos, like we could see just a slim portion of the white of his eyes. He never opened his eyes. Like that's exactly how he was the entire time. And he wasn't asleep. Like I don't think anyone could sleep through that. I mean, like his dad adjusted him a couple of times, but something was not right. That part I can tell you. And so one of my staffers that was with me is a fluent Spanish speaker. Yeah. And so I was like, you need to ask about like the doctor, like, has he seen them? Like, when's the last time? Because I was looking at that baby and I don't have kids, but like I would have imagined that he needed to see, like have professional help. But his dad was like, he's just not been eating.
I never knew that about Jasmine Crockett, by the way, but I think that's.
She didn't have kids?
I think what's that?
That she didn't have children, or what part?
No, that she said she was a meth head baby.
Oh no, I didn't know.
I didn't know that, and that was part of her outlook here. One thing she did say, she didn't say it here, but I heard her in another interview. She said that they took a sample of the water and they're going to have that tested. So I think
which was great, and I'm really happy that they're doing that.
Yeah, it kind of sounded like they did it on the DL. I don't know if they.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask about that because they normally don't allow cameras in facilities like that, right? So they're normally really protective about what you can see, which is why it's so concerning, because this is what they've allowed us to see. Which means, and the whole last year, we've been talking about that with respect to the conditions. As soon as they started taking immigrants and putting them in these detention centers, and some of them being so makeshift, like the Alligator Alcatraz one, that was like, you can't just put tents in the Everglades, right? And there's no thought about the infrastructure here. There's no thought about the sustainability or the structure for kids, like you said, the play places. That's because they're not supposed to be there. That's like what Milena was talking about. Like they aren't supposed to be in facilities like this for this long. They're not supposed to be in these detention centers. But since they are, people are asking, why is there no, like, there's a clip of Jasmine Crockett talking about the education, and they have nobody there to give these kids something to do, something to keep their minds occupied, something to make it feel like life. That's all been taken away from them. So not only do they not have access to their mom, like his mom in this case, or their parents, but they also don't have anything to ground them, anything to give them something to look forward to. It just, imagine being somewhere in a place that is foreign to you with food that's inedible, not having your family members there, and then also not having anything to occupy yourself with, right? You're just trapped there. And I think the fact that the Trump administration is trying to say, oh, we have people with education backgrounds and some packets, like as a teacher, I'm horrified. I'm so angry, because on top of all the other torture that you're putting them through, you're also taking this away from them and disrupting their learning. And it's too much. Like the kids should not be here.
Let's
also add that according to the family's attorneys, they were here legally.
Yes.
They were here legally pursuing asylum, or they were refugees rather. I'm not sure about asylum. And they were quote unquote.
Adam, can you hear him?
No.
He's muted. Adam, you're muted.
Casey.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
I taught in preschool, Head Start. Then I went to kindergarten. And this child is sick. This child's skin is pasty looking.
Yeah.
He is, if you go from his skin to the other people's skin in the room, he's sick.
And he looks jaundiced. He looks, it's not.
If we had a kid that looked like that, we'd immediately take them to the nurse.
So does anybody know if there's doctors on staff at these facilities?
They said there were psychiatrists.
They said a psychiatrist, but that's not this guy.
That's right. That they need a medical, like a ER doctor at this point.
There was one case, the El Gamal, in the El Gamal family, Chaim El Gamal. He has 5-year-old twins. You probably saw the story. I know that Chris shared the story. One of the young children, the 5-year-olds, had appendicitis, and they had been complaining. And there is some kind of like nurse type of staff or medical staff, and then whoever that person was told them, take some Tylenol and come back in a few days. And it wasn't until the child was vomiting and passing out, writhing in pain, that they finally took them to seek medical help. And still in that situation, they made the child wait hours before they finally realized that this was a critical case and the child had to have his appendix removed.
And that's what someone did comment when I posted that video with Liam this morning, that they wondered if he had appendicitis because he also was vomiting. And I mean, it could be anything. I mean, the conditions of the sanitary conditions are so awful in these places. There could be a contagious disease. There could be viruses in the water, in the food. So I'm really glad. I hope they make that public, the findings of the water.
Well,
Yeah,
we're having one of the worst flu seasons ever.
Yeah.
You know, flu
Yes.
could be going around. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, the flu is very GI heavy this time. So that's the other problem, is that you have so many things competing. And when they're not eating because there's not adequate food and nutrition, their immune system's already suppressed from the stress, the shock, and the lack of food and nutrition. They're already at a disadvantage. So this is it's just even more upsetting and difficult for their little bodies to deal with.
And I see someone in the comments said that they're a teacher as well. And I'm a teacher too. And so is Casey too, and Susan. And one thing that Jasmine Crockett said was that they have been talking about how there's no schooling for these children and hasn't been. And they've been promising schooling for almost the entire time that Trump has been president. And now they're saying that maybe they'll have something in March. But
Some
can you
packets,
imagine?
but they said packets. Like, so like if you've been a teacher, like, you know exactly what that can mean. Like, right. Like some packets. Okay.
Well,
It could be like a
I
word
can
search
tell you
and that's
right
it.
now, I can tell you that little Liam is not up to learning. He is lifeless. I mean, that child is.
Well, there
No,
is
and
no schooling there. They've
But-
made that clear too. There is no schooling in these detention facilities.
And schooling for that age is play. It's play-based learning. So
That's
anyway, they need to have educators that can do play-based learning. And that means like playgrounds and jungle gyms and building blocks and all the things that aren't going to be at a detention center. So it's just anybody that's been in the field of education. I taught high school and I know that, right? Like, so it's like, you know, that these kids are not being, not only they're not being taught, they're just not being treated like children. And this is just, it's so inhumane.
We're now getting into Maslow's hierarchy of needs that obviously the basic needs are not being met. And so anything past that, it doesn't matter that there's no education. There would be no education happening anyway, unless his basic needs are met.
Well, that's my question to Adam. Sorry to put you on the spot. What are the human rights violations here? What are the child? I mean, this is child abuse.
We have a resident lawyer here. We have to have the lawyer on the panel.
And Adam, you were making a point earlier, so feel free to finish what you were saying.
Bring that back.
We lost your mic.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe
Let me introduce you.
Oh, he's
trying
gonna
to
try
get
his
the
headphones
phone.
and see. I'm telling you, it's almost like they created these centers to torture people. It's almost like they intentionally made these facilities in such a way that they could treat people badly. It's like, seems like it's almost on purpose. The humanity is the point. The inhumanity is the point.
Well, one of the things we were talking about, and I really think this is important, is getting some kind of call to action out, reaching out to your representatives, reaching out to your senators, and, you know, basically finishing or carry on the work that Castro and Crockett started, is bringing attention to these things, but then also what's the next step? These are, like Susan, like you were saying, these are human rights violations. We can all see this. Okay, maybe ICE isn't guns a-blazing in there, but these kids are in the shadows. They're being kept behind. Like this photo right here, or this sketch right here, is children behind bars drawn by a 5-year-old. This is their reality right now. And I don't know what kind of person you are, but I don't think anybody, MAGA or not, would think this is okay. And it's, you know, yes, they're with their parents in many cases, but it's horrible conditions. It's not okay.
Right. This person here in my comments on Instagram, by the way, Instagram comments aren't populating on the screen, so I'm just going to read them temporarily. But she says it's child abuse, right? This is what this is. It's child abuse. It's human rights violations. And thankfully, Adam's here now, so he can talk more about that.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Oh, no. We can hear you. He can't hear us, probably.
I don't think he could hear us. Well,
okay.
Let me share this. This is the Algamal twins. This is there's Marlena. We'll put her back in. The Algamal twins. One of them wrote this, drew this, and this is her attorney. Their attorney, rather.
5-year-old client drew today that she wanted me to show this program. Their name is the Elgamals. They've been detained in Dilley for 8 months. They are 2 5-year-old twins. You can see at the top, I am 5 years old, and the sad detained children behind bars are saying, let us go, let us go. This is a family that has been persecuted by the Trump administration, not for anything that they did, but because of the crimes of a relative. They are suffering immensely, calling almost every day, begging for help, begging for the American population to pay attention to the conditions that exist inside this facility. And last week, an immigration judge denied them bond, claiming that because they had insufficient assets and insufficient property, that these children were going to remain in detention, possibly for years, as we continue to exhaust their appeals. Their name is Elgamal. We urge everybody who's watching to fight for their release and for the release of every single child, mother, and father in this terrible facility.
How much do you feel like you have a visibility into how people are living there?
Well, what we know is from the detainees. They tell us that the water is putrid. Mothers have to mix baby formula with water that stinks. There's bugs in the food. My client, one of my clients in this Elgamal family, was vomiting from pain in the hallway as he suffered from appendicitis. And the officials there told him, take a Tylenol and come back in 3 days.
This facility was opened during the Obama administration. My understanding is that it was closed during the Biden administration and then reopened by Trump. That facility, though, is right now one of just a number of large-scale prison camps that the Trump administration wants to operate all around the country. Access to it, the kind that you have to support your clients, is key to us understanding the scale of what they're trying to do here. Eric.
So one other point I'd like to make, we don't have to get into this tonight, but they're trying to really expand ICE facilities. There's talk of using warehouses, which are not fit for humans to live. And a lot of these, I don't know about this particular one, I haven't looked into this, but they are for profit. And so if you are profiting from this, what kind of a person are you? What kind of a business is that? And then on top of it, these are children.
They keep trying to find bipartisan.
Can you guys hear me now at this point?
Yes.
We got you.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Beautiful. If I remember correctly, John Kelly was one of the ones that was profiting in the first iteration of this during the first Trump administration, family separation. And it is really shocking and amazing that I'm hearing the same stories that we heard back then. I am a vice chairman of a group of 125,000 lawyers called Lawyers for Good Government. And one of our first signature programs was helping people in these detention facilities, and they are truly heinous. They're overcrowded intentionally. The lights are always on. They call them, and Melinda, you can tell me if I'm pronouncing this properly, hileras, because they are freezing. Hilera really means icebox or refrigerator or something to that effect. And the food, the water back then was disgusting. And we had over 1,000 attorneys, I think, going down to Brownsville, Texas, and I'm pretty sure to this facility in Dilley to try to help asylum seekers. And these are the same stories that we heard back then, which were truly shocking to the conscience and are once again just horrific to hear.
So give us some feedback, y'all. Like, what, as far as doing a call to action, what do you think that looks like? Do you think it would be effective to reach out to our representatives and senators via phone, tagging them on our posts, writing letters, like kind of like we do with other political actions? What are your thoughts? And including people that are watching, like, put your thoughts in the chat.
I
Did you
want to
guys
say
hear about the call for abstention of your economic activity for tomorrow? We're trying to say it without
You know,
saying
it's kind of
the
interesting that you
words that flag.
ask that, Chris, because I know that Lawyers for Good Government just started a program to have demands for action. I'm not quite familiar enough with this service to be able to share that, but I will try to do that online in Blue Sky if anybody's paying attention at Accidental Liberal.
I first want to say, always call your representatives. I know this is
For God's
so
sake, somebody can
annoying.
hear me again.
Or
I can't hear you.
You can't hear us, so you're probably gonna have to leave and come back. Sorry, I don't want to kick you out, but that's usually what it makes you do. I feel like we are always preaching about this. It's so annoying, but I need you all to know that when you overwhelmingly call your senators and representatives, it makes a difference. They get annoyed and they do stuff about it. Like, it's so true. So that's the first thing. It's not the only thing, like, and we can't rely on them just to save us, but that's the one, like, you have to start there. But in terms of what Milena was talking about with the tomorrow's day of nothing but outrage, we're going to talk about it towards the end with all of the call to action sheets very specifically, but absolutely economic sanctions make a difference. And one of the things that I've seen a lot of people online do that's really impactful is they find out what companies are servicing these centers, right? They find out the delivery vans, they find out, like, you know, like whoever's setting up the electricity, who's doing, like, all the people that are helping make these centers a thing, a reality, and they blast them on the internet. And when the internet goes to task and starts leaving Yelp reviews on these sites, like, you better believe it gets their attention. And especially when there are stakeholders, right? Like, when it's not like a mom and pop business, when there's like bigger companies that have like these satellite offices or like whatever, like it is impactful. So anything you can do to bring awareness to the people who are actually making this happen, the people who are like financially or using their labor to make this facility run, calling them out in public is very, like, do that. Please do that, and we will help you amplify that. Ariana Grande has done a lot lately with that. I saw her posts.
Senate Dems voted no, right? Today. So we have a little bit of time, right? I think we should address our senators and say that these facilities need to be either shut down. Yeah, I think we need a call to action. We need to hammer them hard, because this is just unacceptable. This is a concentration camp. I don't know if folks have ever read personal stories about people who have gone through went through the Holocaust and lived in these camps. It was horrific, and this isn't much different than that.
You don't have to go
what people always think. I said in my video of the gas chambers, it's like what is it? Typhoid killed Anne Frank, right? It was the conditions that led those to deplorable conditions.
That's what scares me, Casey, is now we're getting into flu season, virus season, even parasites at this place. You know, cryptomycin is a big one with the water. I just feel these kids are just, you know, they're all crammed together. They're not, their immune system is not kicking like it should. These are battlegrounds for mass death.
Chris,
what
I cut you off, I think, too. Sorry. Sorry, Susan. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I realized I cut Chris off.
These places are containment for mass casualties, for, kids go down really fast. And their immune system is already weakened. I mean, Adam, at what point are we talking about human rights violation and child abuse? Is he still on?
No, Adam.
He's going to jump back on.
Difficulties, and he popped off.
Yeah.
I don't see him in the waiting room.
I just and you said Liam is a citizen, correct?
No, he is not. My understanding, he's not a citizen. He and his father were documented, though. They came here and declared asylum, so they were in the program. They were.
They're not illegal. They're not illegal in terms of.
I mean, they call everyone who's
MAGA
not a citizen illegal. They use it like so random, but no, he's not a citizen. But that doesn't mean he can be treated like this. I mean, it's
actually right. That's another good point that I want to talk about in connection. You were talking about ways to combat this. And something that I've been seeing a lot lately, I mean, from the beginning, but what I see them trying to push is this narrative that, once again, immigrants have no right to be here, which is wrong, that they should just come here legally. And so two things is understanding the complexities of our immigration system and the fact that it has not been reformed since the 80s. And the fact that people are sitting here on waiting lists 20, 30 years long because they don't have anybody that can sponsor them, but they're fleeing countries where their children can't survive, right? Like it's nuanced that way. But at the end of the day, I would just like to remind everybody that we did the same thing. We stole this country. It's literally like showing up to your cafeteria in your high school and being like, we're the popular people, like, get out of our table. And then when somebody comes and sits down at the end of the table, you're like, why are you sitting here? What do you mean? It's not your table. Like, it was never your table. You took the table over. It wasn't yours to begin with. It's the same. That's one point. But the second point in that is that immigrants aren't criminals, and we have statistics to show that they come here and their goal is to become citizens. So the last thing they're going to do is commit crimes because they want to be citizens, and they don't want to be rejected from that. It's not easy. So you're going to do everything you possibly can. And that needs to be reminded to people. Like, when you talk to people in your lives, when you have conversations with people, you need to correct people about these misconceptions. Like, you need to do that as people. We need to be doing this because we need to humanize these people. And that's why Liam has been so impactful, because children often do that. Right? It's a lot easier for people to look at a child and empathize than it is for them to look at an adult man. And so using a little boy as this image to represent all of the hurt and suffering is very impactful, and we should do that. It's annoying that we have to. I hate it, but it's what we need to do. So every single chance you can get, be reminding them of the fact that these are children, but they're also people who are doing what they're supposed to do in most cases. And MAGA is wrong about them being the criminals. The criminals are here. They're us. They're the people that live here. Like, we're the ones. We're the bad people. I hate to tell you. Like the gangs that he was talking about, that's us. Sorry.
And, Trump fired about 100 immigration judges. And these are people that have expertise in immigration. And so he's making the system worse. And he's just passing through all of these immigrants without even giving them their due process. And I don't know if Adam wants to talk about that, but even children as young as 2 years old are being put in court without even any legal representation. And they're supposed to defend themselves at 2 years old. It's absurd. Adam?
So there is not a, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. Hoping that
we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, beautiful. And I can hear you for the moment. There is no absolute right to counsel in an immigration proceeding because it is not a criminal proceeding. It is a quasi-criminal proceeding. But Casey, you're absolutely right. And actually, it was, I think, George Bush's administration that crimes and immigrants, and it showed that immigrants commit far less crimes than actual citizens of America do. And when you think about it, it makes sense because they want to stay here. And if they commit crimes and they get caught, they're probably going to be deported.
I mean, I personally know undocumented immigrants, and they do not want any trouble from the police. So they play it straight. And I think that's pretty standard.
I feel safer with immigrants than I do with citizens, like all the time. All the time. Like, I'm not just saying that for a live. That's the truth, right? It's like they say, find a safe person. Like, I'm gonna be safer with them because of these reasons. Like, because also a lot of times, I don't know why we like to tout our country like we're so civilized and we have so much great stuff going on. Like, have you seen us lately? Like, we need to be grateful some of these people want to come here because they make our country better. Like, and that needs to be said more too.
I agree.
True.
And
So,
I'm still at the human rights violations being done to abuse of children. We don't have, human rights violations are your basic necessities: water, food, shelter. Not to be the right to health care. These kids are not getting any of that. Sorry.
Well, and to be opening with that is also a concern, right? Because like we oftentimes see things descend to something like that, but to just start out the gate with human, like that's like they've started here, like at the base of hell. Where are we going, right? If we're starting here and we're already doing these atrocities, what the hell is it going to look like in 3 years?
When
they're going to fly out in the middle of the night. That's what I'm afraid of. These kids are going to disappear.
Yep.
And there
are still
thousands,
roughly, go ahead, please.
There are thousands of immigrants who have disappeared from that system. In fact, one of my close friends, they can't find their uncle still. It's been weeks and weeks, and they have not been able to locate their uncle in the system. And if you don't have their A number, their A number is their immigration, like location number, then you can't even place an inquiry. And it's such a ridiculous process that
I'm going to share that again, Milena. Have you seen the video? I shared it once before. There is a woman that she called and showed what it's like when you're trying to get a hold of someone and how you can't do it. You literally can't do it because they need the number, but they can't get the number unless somebody from the outside, and they actually show you what it's like. I'm going to post it on my Threads and my Blue Sky after this again. I posted it. I want y'all to watch it because it's like, you imagine the worst call you've had with your insurance company and multiply it by 1,000. That's what it's like. And you need to, it's like being at the DMV and calling your insurance company and maybe filling out a tax form, right? All at the same time. It's the worst bureaucratic mess, and it's intentionally set up that way so that nobody can talk to anybody, so that nobody knows what's going on. I'll share that out on all my platforms after this as well, because it's really good.
There's one other thing.
It's terrible, but you should
one
see
other
it.
thing to highlight is they are systematically moving, not just children, but detainees from detention center to detention center so that their families cannot find them and their representation cannot locate. A lot of times it's very difficult for the representation to locate these people that are snatched off the street. So moving on to our next topic, which is more, that was ICE related, but this is also, last Saturday, Alex Peretti was murdered. I think most of us can call it that, by ICE officers. I just want to highlight this one point. In all of 2025, there was 0 Minneapolis police shootings. In just this month, 2 deadly shootings, and they were ICE related. They were from ICE officers. And one was Renee Good, and the other one was Alex Peretti. So I think that's not good. And honestly, did you guys see the press conference with Holman today? I don't have a lot of hope there. I think it's an okie doke. I think he's just,
he's just a replacement.
Oh yeah, I think it's more of the same. He's just like, he doesn't look like a Nazi.
What's unfortunate is he gave a good press conference to an audience that needs to hear it. That are those middle ground people that kind of listen to him and think, oh, well, what he's saying makes sense. When you know what the background is and you know that obviously no policy is going to change, that's us. But to many people who aren't paying much attention, they look at the stark contrast between the two of them, and Tom Homan seems normal.
It's the Overton window, right? They made it so horrible that now that he's in there, it seems normal. It's not.
He doesn't seem normal. When you listen to him,
to you and I yeah.
I don't want to say what I'm going to say because I don't want to say it, but I'm just going to say, okay, that's all I'm going to say because I can't say what I want to say.
He didn't have a custom-made German coat, so.
There you go. That's what it is. Okay, sure.
Time out. This is a guy that flat out lied to judges when immigrants were being sent to CCOT, right? And said that no, they're not being sent, or only the violent criminal rapists are being sent, the gang members, right? According to Marco Rubio's designation of them, which we all know was a lie as well, and refused to send them back, lied about it, and they're, to this day, these people are going to bear those scars. We know about Kilmar Abrego Garcia because he's the one that was publicized the most, but this is all the doing of Tom Homan, who, by the way, getting a little bit back to the last topic, was one of the architects of family separation. This is the guy that's going to cool everything down? Are you kidding?
I think he's worse. I really do.
He's worse because he's competent.
Well, and I think he comes
across as competent.
The same way I view Mike Johnson, right? Like Mike Johnson for me is a different level of terrible because he also believes in what he's doing, right? Like he's got that underpinning evangelical like mindset of this is righteous. And I just get the same vibes from Tom Homan when it comes to like how these immigrants are perceived, is that like he really does view them as
subhuman.
Right. Exactly. And I think he believes that. So he's not just trying to appeal to people. He's not just trying to get higher up in the ranks. He genuinely thinks these people deserve to die. Like he's a terrible human being. And that wasn't what I was going to say before. I actually had worse things to say. So that's the toned down version. But I really do think he's like worse for that reason.
You were going to say worse things. I'm shocked.
What? I usually do.
Also, I think before anyone lends or gives an ounce of trust to this man, he's on the take. I mean, he actually 50 grand like in a bag, so this is that same man. So, he was trying to enrich himself before he even got the job, before he was even serving as which I hate.
Isn't that what they said Tim Walsh should show up in a parking lot with a paper bag full of money?
It's a Kava bag, right?
Yeah, so somebody said that they should try that again, like because you might be able to get him on your side. Might work.
How comical was it that during the Biden administration, Comey basically spent 2+ years trying to drum something up on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and couldn't find a thing, and every witness who was supposed to be this is the one petered out and was nothing, and here we have all of this graft and all of the profiting by Trump and the Trump acolytes. Just disgusting.
Excuse me.
All of the cryptocurrency drift that's going on. I mean, that is incredible how the American people can just ignore that after they were so concerned about Hunter Biden getting a little bit richer and getting some kind of deal. And you look at even Barron, they want to put him on the board of TikTok. This is a 19, 20-year-old kid.
What just
I
happened?
mean, it's
Well,
absurd.
they gave her a social security number to 20-year-olds and they did bad things with it. So whatever. I mean,
What just
right?
happened in the past couple hours of Trump announcing that he's suing the IRS for $10 billion for the release
There's
of
that too.
his tax return.
They're grifting you at every turn.
Everywhere.
The amount of money that these people are making off the backs of you and the decisions and the policies that they're making, like the fact that we went in and kidnapped a foreign leader and then tried to take over Greenland just so that people could make money, and y'all like, and half of y'all don't know that. That's crazy. Like every day I just ask myself, like, is it like, I don't understand. Like, how do we just not know these things? How do you just not notice that kind of stuff? I feel like maybe it would be easier if I didn't notice these things. So instead, I'm going to have to teach them how to notice it, which, like, if this wasn't enough, what the clip that Chris is about to show with Alex Preddy, like when they slow down the actual footage. And I think before you show this, I want to remind everybody, if you were watching the news the day that this happened, and the first accounts that we got from the Trump administration, and then therefore from the media, and how they had to pivot once they realized that we had footage like this, that we had undeniable footage that they couldn't talk around. Right. They had to backtrack and try to figure out how to not lie like that and lie a different way, because they lied too quickly before they realized how many eyewitnesses there were. And that's what this should be the prime example of why this administration and nothing coming from it can be trusted, why you can't have a bipartisan relationship with them, because they were willing to lie about the execution of a person that we now saw from 5 different angles in high definition. So that is my
I think that's a perfect point. And you know, they did it with Renee Good, you know, so exactly. And they didn't learn their lesson there, and they thought, oh, here's this guy. I mean, it was amazing on Saturday, that first video that went viral, that the guys were taking, I guess it was in a cafe and across the street, and
through the window. Yeah,
through the window, and you could see that. First of all, when these things happen, they're gangs of ICE. It's never like 1 or 2. It's like 6, 7, 8. But I think this video is so well done. This is from the New York Times, and it's stills. Now, I don't know about you guys, but most of the videos I posted on Saturday and Sunday of last week were taken down on Blue Sky. On X, it was fine. They were shielded. So a lot of people, I don't know, they didn't really see this much detail. And I love the way New York Times breaks this down. And then Morning Joe, it was narrated on Morning Joe. So I thought this was extremely effective. And there's details here that I was not aware of until this moment.
A group of people are standing in the middle of a street where a person was detained on the ground. Preddy appears to be filming the scene, and he walks closer to federal agents while holding his phone. Then an agent shoves 2 people from one side of the street to the other, pushing them toward a white SUV. Then, for a second time, the agent pushes the person with the orange backpack. That person falls to the ground near the white SUV. Preddy tries to put himself between the DHS agent and the 2 people. Footage shows the same agent using pepper spray in the direction of Preddy's face. Preddy is holding his phone in one hand, and he holds his other hand up to shield himself from the pepper spray. 23 seconds before the shooting, Preddy appears to be trying to help the person with the orange backpack stand back up as the agent continues to pepper spray the group. That's when several agents grab Preddy, who is still holding his phone. Additional agents approach and try to pin him to the ground. 11 seconds before the shooting, Preddy is surrounded by a group of 7 agents, some of whom have wrestled him to the ground. One of the agents, wearing a gray coat, gets closer to Preddy. The agent's hands are empty as he reaches for Preddy, while the other agents hold Preddy down on his knees. At the same time, another agent strikes Preddy repeatedly with a pepper spray canister. 1 second before the shooting, an 8th agent joins the group. The agent in the gray coat appears to pull a gun from near Preddy's right hip.
So a lot of people had pointed this out. They had already, our internet friends had seen photos of this, and they're like, that looks like he took a gun away. And one of the immediate narratives from the Trump administration, from Kristi Noem, was that he came there to massacre with a gun, brandishing a gun, quote, brandishing a gun. And all of us were watching this, we're like, I never saw a gun. But then people zoomed in and were like, they took a gun from his waist or whatever. He was never brandishing a gun.
The agent then begins to move away from the skirmish. At the same time, another agent unholsters his firearm and points it at Preddy's back. The agent in the gray coat, who appeared to remove the weapon, moves away from the scene. The Times reports that it matches the profile of a gun that DHS says belonged to Preddy. Then, while Preddy is on his knees and restrained, the agent standing directly above him appears to fire one shot at Preddy at close range. He immediately fires 3 additional shots. Several agents then move away from Preddy, who has collapsed. Another agent, the same one who shoved the civilians into the street and pepper sprayed Preddy, unholsters his gun and fires at Preddy. The first agent also fires additional shots. Together, they fire 6 more shots at Preddy while he lies motionless on the ground. At least 10 shots appear to have been fired within 5 seconds. 48.
This is very
can you
blurry.
make sense of this? What's that?
This is very blurry, but one of the things that I noticed was it makes sense that Preddy has his hands free, does not have his hands gloved because he's trying to operate his phone. All of the agents have gloves on except the one that shot first. And why in the Minnesota cold would you have that glove off when every other agent has gloves on? And so to me, I would think that the most likely explanation is he had every intention of using his weapon and he needed his hand ungloved to do so. That the decision was made in his mind well before he actually pulled that gun out. And it would make sense in that there was absolutely no threat at that moment. He was already on the ground. He had his back to the shooter. The only reason that you would do that is if you had made that decision well in advance.
Yeah. I mean,
And by the way,
call out. Go ahead, Adam.
Brandishing is a specific legal term that anybody that is the head of a law enforcement agency or Department of Justice would understand. And it certainly is not applicable to somebody that has a legal permit to carry a weapon and the weapon is holstered. The weapon's got to be unholstered and they've got to be showing it in at least intimidation, as far as I understand. I'm not an expert in criminal defense, but a holstered weapon is most certainly not a brandished weapon.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, I mean, to me, the fact that he was shot 10 times, this wasn't a shootout. This wasn't a man armed, as you say, brandishing a weapon, waving it around, where there was some kind of threat. And I keep seeing this with ICE officers. There's groups of them. There is there's no attempt at de-escalation, none ever. And basically they're jumping on this guy. And all he was doing first of all, they threw a woman down on the ground and he came to assist her. So I just think, I think the fact that I don't see how the Department of Justice, who took over this investigation, am I right, or is it Homeland Security? I think it was Homeland Security that actually took over.
I think it's Homeland Security right now.
Yeah, and that makes no sense. They are not set up for these kind of investigations, for forensics or anything.
Well, they did it. Why are they investigating it? They did it.
Exactly. So they're doing what police departments do. We investigated ourselves and we found we did nothing wrong. That is basically the conclusion that they're going to come up with. The same, this is the same agency that already declared he was there to massacre. They already put that out in the public, within an hour of the shooting. It's insane.
And the narrative at this point,
I have a
he
question.
kicked the car.
Sorry, Chris.
That's okay.
I have a question. This wasn't. My cynical mind goes where the guy in the gray coming up knew what he was looking for. In the way I see this, Chris, I think, is right about the guy that shoots the gun knowing that he's going to have to use it. What if they've stopped this gentleman before? This wasn't his first encounter. My question is, what if they knew he carried? What if they knew?
Okay. Since you bring that up, I kind of have mixed feelings on showing this one, but it's been out on social. Let's show.
I don't think you need to necessarily show the whole thing, Chris. I think you can
the previous incident with him.
Yeah, I just want to show a little bit of this and make a point.
In Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Preddy interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him.
So I think it's interesting. I think I don't know where that video came from, to be honest. And the thing that's wrong with that video is there's no context before that. This is a man who is angry, who he didn't just out of the blue, kick a car, kick a taillight. Something definitely
trying to run him over. Yeah. Right? Like,
something definitely happened before this. And then also, but I do think it's interesting because I do think it's possible that these ICE officers knew who he was and that shooting was premeditated. So I think since Susan was kind of headed there, I thought it was a good idea to maybe show that video. And then
there's another video that's sorry. There's another video. There's another video that's circulating of him actually before he went towards the car, of him speaking to the ICE agent, and the ICE agent walked towards him, and clearly they were like arguing. So clearly, to your point, Chris, something else happened, and my instinct is that likely one of the ICE agents did something or came towards the protesters, because that's what was kind of happening to what I could see, that the ICE agent was walking towards them and was engaging with them, and he was responding back to him. And then my guess is something must have happened because he was like, nope, I'm not doing this. And he went back towards the ICE agent. So something had to have happened.
Mama 2479 did this comment here. Didn't he get a rib broken in an incident prior to him getting shot? I'm going to say yes, because I heard that reported on MS Now as well.
I heard that too.
Well, in my job, we were trained in restraining. And I'm looking at these guys going, oh my God. But the guy in the gray, when he comes up, he knows what he's looking for. I swear it looks, and I could be wrong, but
I don't think you are.
He knows what he's looking for. He gets it, he clears the scene, and then they execute.
I think that this is an important reminder to everyone that you get to be an asshole in this country and not get shot in the back by your government. Like, that is, even if there is no context to that video, it doesn't matter. And what this video does to me, like, I'm not a lawyer, but I know a lot of them intimately. And I will say that this just made, to me, the prosecution's case stronger, because now not only did you execute this man in public from 5 different angles in HD, but now we know that you had a previous relationship. So in the course of your duty, you used your job to fulfill a vendetta, and kill someone. Like, that to me rises this even higher. in terms of culpability, but I'm not a lawyer, so
what I'm curious
really
about is if
premeditated for sure.
if DHS is doing the investigation, which is probably nothing, what can the state do? What can the state of Minnesota do with this? Because my understanding is they are trying to do their own investigation, but obviously there's going to be huge gaps in that because they can't talk to the ICE officers. I mean, I guess they could subpoena them, but how is that even going to be effective?
Couple of things, because I am a lawyer. I just don't just play one on YouTube. Let's go back to Susan being taught to restrain people. I always knew you were a badass, Susan, and now you just confirmed it. I did see reporting. Thank you for letting me survive in your presence. I mean, you are one tough cookie. And she really is, folks. If you don't know Susan, boy, she's really tough. I did see reporting that they were aware after this first incident that he did have a gun. And I guess they must have checked and not charged him because obviously if you are not licensed and you have a gun, that's most likely a felony offense in Minnesota because it is in New York where I practice. I agree, Casey, with you 1000% because big smile. I like that because I think that this first incident is really irrelevant or damn near close to it. I mean, even if it's the same ICE officers, you take the events individually as they come. And he was no threat in that event where he got killed. He didn't take out his gun. He didn't brandish it. He wasn't attacking the ICE officers. He was on the ground being subdued by 8 officers, and they still killed him.
Where it should only take 5. It should only take
Susan knows.
5 to restrain him, and they had 8. That's just unbelievable.
But to your point, Chris, the investigation, I would imagine that Keith Ellison's looking at this long and hard, and there is a ton of video evidence that he can use, and there are certainly a number of witnesses that that I am sure will cooperate with the state and give testimony. Yeah.
Can they subpoena the phone records of all of the agents involved? Like text messages. So for example, if he was targeted specifically, because they have this amazing surveillance software that they've been using that they've spent, billions of dollars on. If they did actually go, oh, this guy, he's in our system. We've, recorded him before and we know who he is. And he kicked our car or whatever. Is there a way for the state to subpoena the federal officers' phone records to see if they were texting about that beforehand?
I would imagine that they could get a subpoena if they believe that this was a crime. We all certainly think that it looks like a crime. The question is, can they enforce it, right? Because the federal government's going to fight it, and that's going to go to federal court. Even if you get the trial judge to agree, they're going to appeal it, and they're going to appeal it all the way to the Supreme Court, and they're going to rely on 2 things: qualified immunity and the supremacy clause, to argue that they shouldn't have to turn over any of the footage. Whether that's going to fly, well, we've got unfortunately MAGA Supreme Court, so I don't feel too good about their chances of being able to subpoena that footage.
Okay, so let's watch Stella Carlson. She did an interview the other night, and she made some additional points that I think are interesting. So let's listen to this and chat about it.
I watched him die. I remember him arching his.
Important context. Everyone's calling her Pink Coat Lady. She's the one that took the video that is the clearest view, or was the first clearest view of the actual murder, versus the one across the street from inside, looking through the window.
Back and his head rolling back, and it was so fast moving, but not for me. Like, when they left, when they fled, which now I see, that after the shooting, they decided to just scatter and save themselves.
You begin to scream, "What the F did you just do?" Do you remember that moment? Do you remember screaming that?
I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, what? What? And I knew he was gone because I watched it. And then they come over to try to perform some type of medical aid by ripping his clothes open with scissors and then maneuvering his body around like a rag doll, only to discover that it could be because they wanted to count the bullet wounds.
Now, I mean, I don't know about you, but if you shoot somebody 10 times, I don't know about what the point of the scissors is. Like, what is going on there?
To see how many they got, like he's a deer. I watched that, and that is what it felt like they were doing, and that is part of why I was like, what are you guys doing? Why would you jostle his body around like that? You're not even doing anything to help him. But I knew he was gone.
You knew he was gone then?
I knew he was gone. There was no way with the way his body was moving, and I only knew that because of the way they were manipulating his dead body, just playing with it. Like they're in a video game. They were looking at us and laughing.
After the shooting?
Yes. I mean,
did you hear her say they were looking at them and laughing? Go ahead, Casey. What?
I would like to. I'm raising my hand because I'm like in class because I want to call on my professor again, Adam, and say their behavior afterwards, I feel like also indicates culpability here as well, because they made no efforts to aid him. They made it wasn't like they all scattered to the wind too. Like a bunch of them scattered. So it wasn't even like they stayed to provide aid or anything. Like if there was a real clear threat, you would think that they would make sure everything was contained and, they just started running when the bullets were flying. So I that in addition to the comments about Call of Duty that we saw on the video, right? Like as well, it makes me feel like this is a bad look for them because it doesn't suggest innocence at all. Or feeling guilt of any kind.
Yeah, I can't disagree, and it's remarkably similar to what they did with Renee Good, right? Yes. I mean, they even prevented a doctor from helping her who was on the scene, saying that they would help her, and they did nothing really for her at all. Whether that's further evidence of guilt, I think that's probably something that a jury would have to decide. I don't think it's ever going to get in front of a jury, unfortunately. But it sure as hell isn't a good look. You're right about that. Look, we all know and we all see, and it's been over and over and over again in Minneapolis and Chicago before that, and LA also before that. We've got a bunch of untrained goons parading around as law enforcement who, like Chris said earlier, Chris Webb, they don't de-escalate. They don't look for a way to stop the violence. Their instinct is to be aggressive, hit people, which is exactly what they did here. They attacked the woman that Chris Preddy was trying to defend. Then they attacked Preddy, and they were not threatened whatsoever. And then they use pepper spray, and then they resort to even further violence, whether it's bashing in a window and dragging people out of cars or beating them up in mass, 7, 8 of these goons attacking them or shooting them. And there have been 12 shootings since September, I think 16 since July by ICE personnel. this is not supposed to be America. This is not supposed to be what we do, right?
Adam, who has standing to sue them over this to get this to stop? Who would have standing to do that?
You mean civil or criminal?
The officers or the
Criminal.
department?
I'm talking about like if a state, would a state have standing to sue, or would it have to be a certain group of people to sue over these just random violent abductions and brutality? Who has the standing to sue to try to get them to stop? To say
The individual agents or the actual Homeland Security?
Homeland Security in general, the Department of Homeland Security.
I'm going to let the lawyer answer, but I think I know it.
Well, it's in a civil action. It's obviously the victims and the families of the victims. Clearly, to stop these ICE missions, if you want to call them that, the state has the authority because Minnesota's already done that, just like California and Illinois did it as well. So it's the argument is, I guess, a 10th Amendment argument, overreach by the federal government and intruding into what are really law enforcement issues. I did see a comment from Vivian Leal, who, hi Viv, how are you? Why no jury? Well, no jury because I don't think that there are going to be criminal charges here. It's very, very difficult to initiate criminal charges against these officers, especially if the federal government is going to fight it.
Well, here's the thing. If you're talking about, like in Renee Good's case, okay, maybe you could make the case that the officer felt threatened, because that's usually what I mean, I don't know if I want to call him an officer, but in the case of police, if they feel a threat, it's okay if they react with deadly force, right? Well, there was the one bullet what about the second and the third bullet when clearly he was not in front of the car. He did it from the side in the window. And then in this case, you have this man lifeless on the ground, and they're 10 shots. So that he was shot 4 times, right? And then there was 6 additional shots. How do you justify that?
You don't, because the first shot killed him.
Right.
So then you have 9 more. I mean, that's, and on top of that, you have the man restrained. So he's face down on the pavement, and you're shooting him in the back.
He was in zip ties, correct? He was zip tied, right?
I don't think so.
I don't know if they got to that point.
Okay. I thought they had zip tied him before that. Like, I thought they had gotten him down and zip tied and they had to cut those off.
Definitely restrained. He was in a point where he couldn't have done anything anyway. So then you're judge, jury, and executioner. To me, I don't know.
Well, it's like even in malpractice with doctors, at least they'll never, like, if they do something, even if it's not intentional and it's flagrant enough, they lose their license and they don't get to practice medicine again. Are these people ever going to be in law enforcement? Or, I mean, they shouldn't be a security at a Radio Shack at this point. Like, they should be locked away. Like, they're not safe to be around people. If they're pulling their weapons because this guy looked at them funny, I don't want them on the street with me. They're not safe. So I feel like every other industry has standards for this, and like these people have nothing. They get to just go on about their lives, and we have to hope they don't shoot us. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, and it is crazy.
Sorry,
I mean,
such a downer.
It's
so annoyed by that.
Well, I did hear that the nurses union, where Freddie worked, is actually suing some kind of suit for wrongful death.
And that's really interesting that you bring that up, Susan, because him being a nurse and then the MAGA, like, nurse to far right pipeline is pretty intense. There's a lot of nurses It's like nurses and real estate agents. I don't get it, but whatever. They're all like, a lot of them are MAGA, and this really pushed some of them over the edge. Like this was and this is also a good segue to talk about in a second. I think Chris has slides about the NRA stuff, right? Like the 2A stuff, right? So the initially we were waiting. We're like, hey, NRA, where are you at? Hey girl, come on, you want infringing? Like, here you go. And they were real quiet for a few hours, but then they came out and even they were like, yeah, no, you're allowed to carry a weapon. Like if the laws say that you can, you like, he's within bounds, right? And then here comes Trump saying, no, you can't carry guns. You can't carry guns. And so now you've pissed off the nurses, like what Susan was saying, right? Like you've made them mad. And now you're going to make the Second Amendment people who were like, you're champions. And now you're telling them they can't have guns. Like you're not allowed to have guns is what Trump said. There's a quote. How many groups do these people get to alienate before they finally have no support left? Because some of their core cult members, their biggest supporters are 2A enthusiasts. That's their thing. And they made a big fuss. Now remember, Kyle Rittenhouse is fine. Okay. Kyle Rittenhouse showed up with an army like on his chest of weapons, and it's fine. This guy just has a little tiny holster weapon and he was a threat. That's very inconsistent. But to flip on that rhetoric so loudly and so quickly, the NRA is nothing to laugh about in terms of their lobby. So to me, I feel like we're going to see some fireworks there. There's some clash to be had.
And some of the videos, some of the vloggers that post a lot about Second Amendment issues have already turned on him. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, we saw that on Twitter and stuff. Yeah.
I don't have those slides, but watch this because this shows the absolute contradiction.
That shows up. I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers.
Take a look here at what she wrote in her book. In May 2020, there was a large Black Lives Matter protest in Sioux Falls, which grew to thousands of people at our local shopping mall. Sparks of violence erupted but never got out of control. There also happened to be hundreds of Second Amendment-loving bikers in close proximity. They parked along the protest road downtown and at the mall, standing with the police with their Second Amendment rights on full display. They didn't have anything to say. The message was clear: no riots or looting tonight. And as governor of South Dakota, Noem also signed legislation expanding concealed carry rights. In fact, it was the very first law that she signed into law. And in a 2021 op-ed we found, she wrote, quote, "The Second Amendment exists to defend all the rest, including the First." So very clear shift in a rhetoric there. And Aaron, Secretary Noem isn't alone here. The president himself has very much changed his tone.
You can't walk in with guns. You just can't. And you can't, listen, you can't walk in with guns. You can't do that.
Trump declined to condemn Kyle Rittenhouse, who was armed with a rifle and later fatally shot 2 people during the protest there. Listen to him in 2020.
I just want to make this point about Kyle Rittenhouse. Like every MAGA person, every Trump supporter thought that this kid or whatever was totally fine with a rifle at a protest. Like that was such a rallying cry in 2020. And he
You saw the same tape as I saw, and he was trying to get away from them, I guess, it looks like, and he fell, and then they very violently attacked him, and it was something that we're looking at right now, and it's under investigation, but I guess he was in very big trouble. He probably would have been killed.
The FBI Director Kash Patel has also been weighing in on this situation and has a history as well of comments.
You cannot bring a firearm loaded with multiple magazines to any sort of protest that you want. It's that simple.
And those comments from Patel stand in contrast to how he talked about armed civilian protests just a few years ago as well.
If Kyle Rittenhouse's team is listening, or your audience is tweeting, This is what Fight with Cash is for. We will help Kyle Rittenhouse's defamation cases. We will pay for them by raising money so he can clear his name like I'm clearing mine. Remember, this is coming on the heels of Kenosha, the city burning down in last year's riots, right? This also came on the left's call as the city was burning down to defund the police and bury people's constitutional rights if you were named Kyle Rittenhouse.
This drives me crazy. Little known fact, the Secret Service was informed that there would be multiple protesters on January 6th that were bringing firearms, and they wanted to install magnetometers, metal detectors. And do you all remember what Trump said?
Yep.
Trump said, no, absolutely not. They are not coming there to hurt me. We are not going to put up the magnetometers. Let them come. Drives me nuts.
We also had armed protesters at the Capitol in Michigan in 2020 protesting the lockdown, the pandemic. So what? It's so crazy. This is just insanity.
So one other thing that I just want to mention here, this photo, this viral photo where he's shooting him in the back of the head, there's another photo floating around where this man does not have a head. And a bunch of, you can see it in the photo. I grabbed this one because he does have a head. And I don't know what's going on there, but it does put into question, like, what is going on here? Where did these photos come from? Because there is one that he does not have a head. I can actually put it up if you guys want.
I've seen this one regularly.
Yeah.
It's so disturbing.
I just want to see.
Even Trump flipped his remarks about thinking that he was he's been in defiance with DHS in terms of whether or not Alex Preddy was actually a threat. Like, so that tells me that people have, whether it's I don't know who, but people have gotten in his ear, because that's usually what happens, right? He walks right up to the brink, he like throws some gas on the fire, and if it gets too hot, then he's like, all right, I'm gonna back away a little bit. And that's what he's done. So this is, again, why you can't trust this administration, because they're gonna say they're on your side. They're gonna say they support and champion gun rights. And then when it doesn't suit their narrative, they'll flip on you. So this idea that you think you get to keep your guns under this fascist authoritarian government, like, think again. Like, it's like, how they're going to do that is a logistical nightmare, and I'm not going to argue with you on that. But I'm just saying, like, maybe it's certain cities, maybe it's certain districts, and maybe you live there. So
yeah. What do you guys think about what's going on go ahead.
I was going to say, maybe that's why they want to access the voting rolls. Maybe they want to access the voting rolls because they want to go after the people who didn't vote for them and their guns.
We got to talk about that. We need to finish this part, and then we got to have a whole conversation about what happened in Fulton County, because that should concern everyone. Like bigly, yes. Y'all should be concerned. Do you want me to cut to square out on the role of the Democrats here? Because I feel like they played this the way they normally do. Like, I wouldn't give anybody any trophies, like, other than maybe participation for this. And I will say that they were out on social media pretty quick with it, right? Like, so as opposed to something like what happened with Venezuela, where all of a sudden, like, it's just radio silence. With this one, everybody got on real quick and made says that this was obviously a bad choice and decision, and clearly it was like murder. But I do feel a little concerned, and I feel for Tim Walz. Let me tell you, like, I really do feel for him. He's not going to run anymore. He said that, and I feel like it was the same kind of vibe that we got from Kamala Harris when she sat down. Remember when we saw that first interview and like how you could just tell, like, these are people who genuinely wanted to help others. And it's not safe for them to do that. Like, it's not safe for their family to do that. And that's the difference between these parties, right? Is that you have one where, like, yeah, okay, maybe you don't want everybody to get free healthcare. All right. But the other party is like, if you don't agree with them, they'll just come shoot you. Like, that's, there's a clear difference. One party you're safe and the other one you're not. And I feel for Tim Walz, but at the same time, stuff like this we're just rolling over. We're just rolling over and letting them take it. Here, have whatever you want, because I know you're going to threaten us and I don't want to be threatened. It's like what Chris talks about like the bravery that's necessary. Like who's going to be the person that steps up?
Well, it's been kind of
I feel
heartening
like
to see
we're still
that.
in that window.
Go ahead, Michelle. Or is it Milena? I can't tell.
I feel it's Michelle. I feel like we're still stuck in that that mindset, right? Of when he very first took office of we need to follow the rules. We need to follow the laws. We need to see what he's gonna do. We need to see, like, it's so frustrating to me because at this point the writing's on the wall. What do you need to see any more of? That's where I'm at with all of this right now. So I appreciate Walz, but like, we need to see, folks need to know that they're safe, that something's being done. And I don't know, you guys can probably speak to more on this topic. I know that he called out the National Guard and whatnot, but what does that mean? Like, they're keeping people safe, but what is it actually doing to prevent ICE from committing more of these atrocities? That's what I'm not understanding. So I'm hoping someone maybe could shed some light on that for me.
I did see that he has them at the detention facility there, and as opposed to the protesters getting gassed, they're bringing them donuts. So it's a little bit of a different tenor. So where they are being deployed, there's a slight difference. Obviously, since they're the ones, and the protesters are bringing donuts and other goodies for the people who are the National Guard as well. So it does make a difference that they're there. Now they can't be everywhere. And like we talked about last week, the city of Minneapolis has a police force of less than 600 people. So they can't be everywhere either, even if they were predisposed to helping people as opposed to helping the ICE thugs. So that's still going to be an issue. But at least they're there at the detention facility and it's not like a war zone there. I mean, when you see these images of these monsters, these savages blowing, or shooting their weapons at people point blank with these non-lethal rounds and injuring them, and the gas rolling out, it's like you're watching something in a country far off land where they're in major strife. You would never think that could happen here in the United States of America. And right here near my city in Santa Ana, a protester who had a bullhorn on his hand, he got shot in the eye point blank, and he lost the vision of his eye permanently. He was just a kid, a teenager, pretty much. He was a 21-year-old college student, and he will never be able to see out of that eye. And they dragged him across their campus, of the federal building, face down, left him in a pool of his own, I won't say, and laughed at him and teased him, saying that he'll never get to see again, which turned out to be true. These people are monsters. And in my opinion, we need to start saying abolish ICE. And there are a lot of people that are saying, don't say defund ICE. Don't say abolish ICE. I'm like, you don't say abolish ICE. It's like saying don't abolish the Nazis. That's how I feel, at least, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
That seemed to be a showstopper.
I'm with you on that, Melina. I'm
You're
with
muted,
you.
Chris.
I mean,
Oh, sorry. Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I'm not on board with defund ICE. I definitely don't think ICE, I think we need to start the hell over. Like, what are we saving? So I think it should be abolished. I think at the very, since we're going here, I think we really need to talk about this. So I don't know. I would like to know everybody's take on this, because we went into this with some leverage once again, where there's a government shutdown tomorrow. Okay, like that was when it was going to happen, and then they supposedly negotiated a deal to do all the funding bills except for the DHS funding, which will be, there'll be a 2-week extension. So we'll do funding for 2 weeks in the hopes of negotiation with Republicans. What is this? Like, I think this was like, so I'm pissed. I'm just going to be honest. How do you guys feel about this? Or what is your understanding of it? Because we had some leverage here and we gave it away again.
From what I saw about it, it's not like we had as much leverage as we might think, because the money that was allocated from the big, beautiful bill could have floated ICE basically indefinitely. And so the idea that stopping this one appropriations bill was going to stop ICE in their tracks was not what's not going to happen.
Chris, I don't think, I was never saying that. Like, to me, I just don't think any Democrat should have their name on any additional funding. And I don't think anyone should make the mistake of thinking that this one appropriation bill would stop ICE. It's not. But like, let's not add more to it. And I don't know what Democrats think they're going to get out of this. I mean, the talk is no masks, like take the masks off. What were the other things? IDs.
It's giving, we promise there'll be a vote on healthcare.
It's like, trust me, bro. You know, it's not.
Cameras.
It's
additional
over.
training.
Yeah.
But these are things they should have now. It's like, so here's the thing. Whatever Homan is doing, negotiating, whatever change, the culture is the same. The policy is the same. Like they have to, I didn't hear him today say, oh, we're considering changing our policy, which is basically, and then I'm all over the place here, but Stephen Miller set up a quota. Like, that's part of our problem. They have a hiring quota. So they're hiring, people that are unqualified in more ways than one. They're not physically fit. We don't know their mental state. Their education standards are lower. Then on top of it, there's a quota on arresting's a bad word, apprehending supposedly undocumented immigrants. And we know other people are getting swept up. We know that like people that are in the system are getting swept up into this. People are at their court hearings and being snatched. So it's the policy is what needs to change. Yes, the mask should not be like, they should be unmasked. We've been talking about that since the beginning. They should be, they should be identified, because how do we know if you're an ICE staffer versus a rapist?
This is all rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, because the entire organization was founded in 2003 as a reaction to 9/11, as a very racist organization to start. So the entire foundation of the organization is such that there is no reforming it. It needs to be abolished and start from scratch. And we had an immigration structure beforehand that existed without this, and so we can do that, and that's what needs to be done. There is no reforming this organization.
I agree. What does everybody else think on that?
I always have thoughts.
Abolish ICE. That's what I think.
I this is just good sound advice. Now, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a doctor. I'm not really anything, but I will tell you, as an autistic observer who studied political science, that the goalposts have moved, that this isn't your mother's politics anymore. Okay. And that everything is performative now. Everything is performative. And that's a lot of how you get your leverage. And that's a lot of how you get your support. And because everything is streamed differently, right? Because it's not coming through the lens of NBC News that your dad watches in his Barca Lounger at night after work, right? Because it's all able to be received spontaneously, right? Like through these apps. The Democrats have to posture themselves and look a lot stronger and be a lot stronger in a unified way. And that's not happening. And there was a great video, and I just totally blanked on his name, but y'all will know who I'm talking about. He's in Amsterdam, right? And he did. Thank you. Thank you. And I posted it and I will repost it again. But he talks at length about the absence of leadership at the top in the Democratic Party. And a lot of people get onto us because they say, oh, you know, you're dogpiling and you're criticizing them. But the reality is, as Tad talks about this in his discussion, is that they serve as a really important vehicle for change. Yes, we have to do work, but it is so much easier when you have someone at the top directing that kind of work. And we don't have that right now. And it's really important to call that out because we probably do somewhere, and someone just needs to step up and be allowed to be that voice and that leadership. And right now, people like Chuck Schumer are preventing that. And so everybody who is alive and wants to stay alive and in this government not be fascist needs to participate in these protests, but also you need to be contacting Congress and telling them what you want to see. So if it's abolish ICE, which I think it should be, that's what you need to be saying. And you need to be talking about healthcare, and you need to be making these demands, and you need to be really loud about it because they have to feel empowered by you to do that. And it sucks that apparently we have to be so loud about it before they do that. But I just don't see anything changing as quickly as we would like it to without having that unification, like without having that party unity and that aggressiveness where they basically say, we've come to play, like we're not going to be bullied.
And can I just add one thing? And that is the stronger we are, it makes them stronger. If we are just saying, oh, we'll just maybe do a few little modifications, it actually lessens their negotiation ability even. Their position is lessened. So the stronger we are, the louder we are, the stronger their negotiation position will be. And that's why you can't just call the Democrats. You also have to call Republican lawmakers as well.
Yes, 100%.
And you need to call again and again and again. And like I said last time, it's like, if your cousin lives in a place where there's 2 Republican senators and a Republican congressperson, then talk to your cousin and try to get them to call. And if they won't call, then maybe if you're a real renegade, then you'll be your cousin for a few minutes when you make those calls.
That's right. That's what I say. Because really at the end of the day, right, this has to be a representation of the voices of the people. And I believe, and I think we've all discussed this at length in our lives, that the majority of people do not want these policies. Like they do not agree with these policies. They find them distasteful. They find them inhumane. They might want immigration policy, but they don't want you ripping families apart on the street. They don't want you taking their, lawn architect away, right? Like they or their favorite nanny or whatever, because these are part of their family too and a part of their community. And that's how they perceive them. So not everybody are these, like MAGA's really loud, but they're actually not a majority of the Republican Party. And I think there's a lot of displaced Republicans who are looking for leadership right now. And I don't think you should cater to them, but I think you should acknowledge the things that you have in common. And one of those things is getting rid of ICE and creating a new system to help with immigration that's fair and reasonable. But I don't think this administration has any designs on that. And that's partially what the Democrats need to do is wake up. And that's why I don't think you negotiate from the bottom. You start with the top, you start with everything you want. You start with, I want now, that's what I did the video on. I want free healthcare now. Forget affordable healthcare. Fuck that. Everybody gets free healthcare now. You fucked around. Like, let me ask for everything now. You start really high and really hard. And if anybody's like, well, you can't do that because that's just unreasonable. Who the fuck do you think the Republicans are? Like, did y'all see Mitch McConnell during the Obama years? Like, we didn't have a justice for a whole fucking year. Like, what do you mean? Like, this idea that you can't just be that brazen and that bullish, like, the only reason it doesn't work for the Democrats is we don't have enough. We don't have enough unity. If we did, we could do that all day long, and we could be really a big pain in their ass. And I think we should. But just everybody needs to look to Fulton County. I know we're running out of time, so we don't have time to really go in depth about it, but I would be remiss if I didn't say something about it. And I don't know, do we have any of the media?
Let me find it. I didn't
want to say that we have something if we don't.
No, you're good. I have it here somewhere.
Here's what I want everybody to be paying attention to right now. Stop thinking, and some of you already know this, so I'm not lecturing you, but I'm telling you to tell your friends. Stop acting like this administration is operating in your best interest or in the interest of democracy. They are not. Like, they are not, and they are not your mother's politics. They are here to disrupt and take what they want. And that part of that is elections. And the way and this isn't fear mongering, because we can stop this. Okay. Like, what I'm saying is we got to stop this, because their design, their end game is to make elections look discredited, to discredit and invalidate elections so that they, the federal government, and by the federal government, I mean Trump, get to run elections, not everywhere necessarily. They don't have to. They just have to run them in these swing states and these swing districts where they could potentially and probably would lose. And they know they're going to lose district midterms. They know they're going to lose hard. So they're starting to grab everything. I put in my tweet today. It's like, y'all saw that show, Supermarket Sweepstakes or Supermarket Sweep? Is that what it was?
Stay around the edges. Always go for the meat.
Yeah, and you like grab everything in your cart that you possibly can, right? That's what they're doing. But like, as fascist Nazis, like, they're just trying to take everything that they can, and they're going to do a lot, and it's going to be really bad. This year's going to be really bad. You thought last year was bad. It's going to be really bad. But I want you to be prepared for that, and I want you to think about the fact that what they're doing is out of desperation, because they know they're going to lose, and they're trying to get what they can now. Why do you think he just announced Ted Cruz as a potential SCOTUS nominee? Not because like they really want to do that, but I don't know how they're talking somebody off that bench, but they want to do it before midterms because they know they can't do it after that. I know, Milena, I know it's hard. Anyway, so with Fulton County, the problem we have now is that, is it a video? Well,
yeah, do you want me to play that?
Screenshot. Yeah.
Okay. Of our control, we don't know where they're being taken. We don't know what's going to happen to them. So we can no longer, and I can no longer, as chair of this board, satisfy not only the citizens of Atlanta, but the citizens of the world that those ballots are still secure. So that is a major concern that I have right now.
So the FBI sweeps in. They take a bunch of those 2020 ballots, like 700, because they can't get voter data like any other way, because the state of Georgia won't release it. So now the FBI is going to say, hey, we like need to like check these out, and they're going to take them. Well, the problem is now we can't validate who actually won that election, and he can start making crazy ass claims that he's already been making, but now we don't have the evidence to refute it. And so then he can start saying, well, Fulton County really shouldn't be running their elections. You know what I mean? Am I right? Like, the state of Georgia can't be trusted. And then it's Pennsylvania, and then it's Michigan, it's Virginia. Like, it's all these states where we've seen a blue kind of push that would prevent him or Vance from being the next president. So it's twofold. It's like, we can get all this voter data, and like Milena said earlier, we can use that. We can go after people who don't like us. We can intimidate people. They can do a lot of things. And they've been doing this from the beginning for fucking years. Y'all, they have spent gazillions of dollars on really good lawyers to use the legal system to find all this information out, to challenge these voter databases, to challenge laws, to challenge ballots, all the things. And they're going to keep doing that, but they're going to keep making the lines blurry in terms of what is legal and what's not. And because we don't really have a justice system that's super reliable right now, am I right, Adam? They can start to blur those lines about what really is legal and what's not. And this is why tomorrow, as like a I'm not going to cut everybody off. If you want to have last remarks, that's fine. But I just want to say this is why tomorrow and all the other future opportunities that we have to withhold monies, to like make visual resistance impacts, like to hold up signs and to tell them like absolutely not. We are aware of what's going on and we will not take this. We're not going to do this. You can take your Nazi shit elsewhere. That needs to be done. That needs to be happening. It really does make a difference when you're loud about it. You've seen Trump back down before, and he will, and they will. But you have to be so loud about it, your opposition to it.
Yeah, I'd really love to see what the application to get this particular warrant was.
Right.
I mean, and it's going to come out. Some reporter's going to find it. I mean, what could possibly have been the justification for this when during 2020, 60 lawsuits were filed and Trump lost every single one of them except for one, I think, in Pennsylvania, which changed maybe 1,000 votes or something along those lines. And his own elections person, Chris, I forget the guy's last name, said that this was the most safe election in the history of America. How is there possibly a predicate to raid the Fulton County election zone? I don't understand.
It's brazen and it's a lot. And when we start talking about the federal government swooping in and taking authority away from states, y'all, that's a big deal. Like it feels less of a big deal because so much other shit has happened like in this last, year plus. Like it's just been a barrage of crazy stuff every day. But in other like in normal life, this would be like something that would take up the news cycle for weeks, right? Like this would be the story. And now it's like probably item number 4, like it's far down on the list. So it needs to be said that when you start having a president, by not even, mind you, a corrupt president, but I mean like just any president that starts telling and dictating what states can do and coming in and serving FBI warrants without their cooperation, that, it's like this stuff is usually worked out between, right? Like entities.
Something like this. Yeah. You've got one government contacting another government agency and saying, hey, this is what we're looking for. And, then they try to work out some sort of a deal unless it's an absolute no, which this should have been. But again, I mean, you got to have some facts behind that application for a warrant that shows that there might be a crime here, that this is a legitimate investigation into a possible legitimate criminal activity. Where is the crime? I mean, other than the obvious crime of the guy that was looking to extort Raffensperger for 11,780 votes and putting together fake electors and trying to extort the Georgia legislature into a special session to declare him the winner of the state when he lost. Other than those crimes, I don't know what crimes there would have been to justify this action by the FBI.
No, you're right. And the scary part is we heard the attorney was the attorney general, I think. We'll show the clip next week, but like we saw him saying like, yeah, those people that were all about that, they're the ones taking the ballots. Like they're the ones in there doing this. So that's super concerning. So we will next week we'll do wrap ups this in a minute, but like just FYI, next week we'll come back and talk more about this, obviously, and anything else that goes on in the following week. But don't think we won't talk about it. And if you follow everybody here on the panel, we post about this kind of stuff all week long, so you'll be able to see the content and stay in the content. This is the graphic for tomorrow from Courier. Ideally, if you can stay home from work and school and join a march or some sort of visibility. The Visibility Brigade is one of them that you can go to their website. They have like local community meetups. 5051 is doing something, and I forgot to look that up, but somebody here probably knows about that. But also just try not to spend money. Like, just try not to spend money anywhere. Jessica Craven has a really great list. If you subscribe to her Substack,
Yes.
Jessica Craven, she's got a wonderful list of
She's very
boycott
good.
of specific ones to boycott. And the reasons why. Like, it's excellent because it shows you the reasons why. I will link that in my socials as well, so that you can see it, but it's a spreadsheet and it's wonderful. So if you can spend no money, that would be great. But at least if you could spend money not at these places. Like, I may have to go to Costco tomorrow, y'all. I've been in the house for a week because we are iced in. And tomorrow may be the first day that I can get out in like over a week, and we don't have fruit anymore. Okay. So I may have to go to Costco. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. We'll see if we're going to try. We're going to try to make it. But
Costco's
anyway.
one of the good ones, though.
Yeah,
so.
since they're one of the good ones, I'm like, yeah, all right, fine. I won't
do
use
a
my
mini
visa.
trip.
Okay.
A
I won't
mini
use my
trip,
visa.
though.
Yeah.
Kids need fruit.
It's for real. It's too much. Oh yeah, call your members of Congress every day, all the time. Like Milena said, if you have people in your life that don't know what to do, just call in front of them. Let them see you do it, because a lot of times they just need to see you do it. Or like, there's a lot of us that have done videos of us calling our members of Congress. You can share those if they want to see somebody else do it. There's scripts online, but ultimately just being yourself and saying, I don't want my tax dollars to pay for this. I don't want my tax dollars to pay for it. You can, as specific as you can be is great, but if it's just, I hate what I'm seeing and I want you to oppose everything, that's great too. Like, just opposition and numbers is what's important here.
So also, since we have this number up and we're talking about call to action, please call your representatives, your senators about the children in ICE detention.
Yes.
Let them know how you feel about that.
That should be
Do
number
not let
one
this
right now.
moment pass. Liam brought a lot of attention. Put on my Liam hat here, my version of it. Brought a lot of attention to this cause. And we need to pick up the phone and call. And that's I think the big
That's
CTA
the number
right
one.
now. Yeah.
Yes. Use that momentum.
Representative. I'm sorry.
Also, but this connects to that. The sharing the stories with your friends and family, like, I cannot stress enough, not just your friends and family, like everybody you meet. When you wake up in the morning, this is what I do. This does require you to be somewhat knowledgeable of what's going on in the news. I'm so sorry, but you can't know nothing. You can take time away, but you got to stay somewhat connected. Sorry, it's where we are in life. Pick something that you don't like, that you just hate, like Liam. The story of Liam, and somebody says, hey, like, how's your day going? Like, they welcome you to Costco, and you're like, not great, Angie, not great. There's a little boy who's really sick right now, and they're detaining him, and he has no business being in a detention center, and I'm really upset. Can you call your members of Congress and tell them, like, to free him? Like, have your little whatever it is to share with them so that they understand, oh, like, I haven't heard that. Like, that sounds crazy. I need to go Google that later. Like, that crazy lady was talking about free Liam. Like, what's that? Right. And that, like, you're right. You may not evangelize everyone, but there may be one person that you talk to that day that actually goes home, Googles it, and is like, hey, I'm an empath. This horrifies me. Like, I can't do this. And then they share it with other people. Right. So just every day wake up and have one thing that you care about that you tell people when they meet, and you're like, I'm really upset because this is happening right now, and I want it to change. Like, can you help me change this? Can you tell someone about this? Can you call your member of Congress? And if you do that with everybody, it's going to click with someone. It's like, this is what Republicans do. They just throw out this shit all day long, and it just eventually sticks, like, with somebody. That's how they
Be
do
brave.
it. Yeah.
Be courageous. Don't be shy
honest.
about it.
Be honest. Like, it's like, you live here. You deserve not to be, like, in terror all the time, having to watch all this shit. Like, we deserve better than this. So we can have better than this. We should ask for it. We should demand
We're not asking you to stand up to ICE. We're not asking you to put your body on the line. We're asking you to make a phone call.
Yep.
Make a phone call. That's it.
Bare men, y'all. Just tell people. Just ask people to be involved. If everybody just made calls, we wouldn't be here. Genuinely.
And when you think of what someone like Stella Carlson did, standing there and videotaping, and her bravery, the least you can do is call Congress or talk to a neighbor or a friend or the supermarket clerk. That's the least you can do.
And I think I told you this last week, that I was at dance practice and I was sharing something I was doing, and I was trying to be somewhat like not overbearing about it, because I know like I'm really into politics and other people are, so like I try to like pull it back a little for the average person that's not super apolitical, right? And I just said a couple things and she was like, no, I'm really interested. And I ended up having this like really long conversation with her, and she was so intrigued. And I told Chris, I was like, well, now she's my project, so I'm gonna radicalize her by recital season. You just watch. Right, that's my like now. But I was just being honest. I wasn't like trying to like pitch her anything. I was just saying, I've just been seeing this and this is what I feel, and it's just frustrating. And then she started having more questions about it. So just, I don't think you need to be an expert, and I don't even think you need to be that super brave. You just have to be a little pissed off and honest, and that's it. And then just communicate with people. And if everybody did that, things would change.
Can I encourage people too? Because I know I see a lot of folks respond saying, I call, the voicemail's full, I can't get through. You have an option to use, there's ResistBot, there's 5calls.org. There are other ways to reach them. You can fax them, you can email them, look them up, go to their website, leave a quick message.
Office.
You've got their office.
And if you're feeling spicy, if you're feeling really spicy, call the DC office and call all their state offices. Call all of them.
Yeah. Do it.
So thank you for those who are doing
And
that.
when you
It's
think
a
of the
really good reminder.
emergency, and when you think of the emergency that our country is in, and it truly is an emergency, from the surveillance state to the, people getting murdered in the street, to what's happening in detention, to the story in Indiana where they're trying to pass a bill where they can do what's it called, where they line you up and they shoot you dead, and then gas chambers for executions.
Yeah,
And
those are
that was called for by
Firing
the White
squad.
House. Firing squad,
firing
death by
squad.
firing squad. We're in an emergency. So if you were one of those kind of people that didn't share on Facebook because you're like, oh, I'm keeping Facebook separate, or I'm keeping Instagram separate, that's not where I'm political, it's time to like throw that away. It's time to make sure everybody knows what's going on and everybody knows what your position is, because you cannot let anybody have the excuse of being ignorant, like, oh, I didn't know what's happening, like the good Germans. It's time for everyone to know exactly what's going on. And you're one of those people that can make a difference. You just never know what kind of difference you can make just by talking to someone.
In this environment, not being political is political.
That's right. You don't want to do
Yeah,
politics.
not voting
Politics
is
is gonna
how
do
we
you.
got there.
Silence is a choice.
Yeah.
I'm offended at this point. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna close this out by saying I'm offended. If you haven't said something, that is offensive to me at this point. Like I was really nice, and I was probably the person that was in your court the longest. I was there as a teacher, being really understanding about how difficult it is and how overwhelming it can be. But fuck all that shit, because guess what? Like, the Nazis are back in modern time, and I didn't sign up for this, right? Like, we were supposed to already be done with that, and I was supposed to be living this like wonderful middle-aged life, and instead, like, I'm out here stressing every day. Like, I could get pepper sprayed in the face just taking my kids to dance practice. Like, I don't fucking want this. So y'all need to get up too, because if you're just sitting back being like someone else is gonna do it, I'm gonna start to put you on blast. So just saying.
Okay, calm down. Little timeline
Casey.
cleanse.
Casey,
Timeline
don't forget to
Say
talk
hello.
about to talk about how you should talk to your clergy members, because that was such a great idea.
Yes, please please be tagging all of your leadership in the church. If they haven't mentioned this yet, you better mention it for them. Like, you need to call them to the altar and have them account, because if they are not talking about this and speaking out against it in the church, you need to take your tithes somewhere else, because that's not Jesus, and that's not any God or any religion or any faith that I know of, because they all preach something different, the opposite of this. So please, whether it's your priest or a rabbi or your pastor or like whoever is prominent in your local community, if it's the like PTA mom, I don't care. Like, contact those people in those positions of leadership and ask them to denounce this as well and take some role of leadership on in terms of directing people to call their members of Congress and demand that we close the detention centers, we bring the children out of those detention centers, that we abolish ICE, that we get health care, that we stop this fascist regime. I think I covered a lot of it.
You
Did I get
did.
it?
See
Okay.
the kitty timeline cleanse. Do I need to bring the cat back up, Casey?
Yes. Yes.
I mean,
and Chris can bring
All right,
the
y'all.
puppies next week because they're walking. They're walking now.
oh wow.
Okay. Yep, they're starting to walk.
Already. That's crazy.
All right, everybody. I think
Thanks,
we're at the
everyone.
2-hour mark. Appreciate y'all. Thanks, and
Have a good night,
hopefully,
everybody.
hopefully this week is better. Next week is better. Anyway,
Thanks, everybody.
Don't say
and
it.
I'm actually worried about this whole Congress situation, but whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we
All
need
right.
to talk about that next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.